Hey guys, it's Megan. My mom, she is like the biggest Barbie fan that I've ever met. She has a huge Barbie collection, and with the new movie coming out, I thought that it would be fun to go through her gigantic Barbie collection. I thought it would be fun at first, okay, but like, honestly, it was a process. There's over 300 dolls here because somehow, some way, like my aunt heard about this and she was like, oh, I'll send you mine too. So shout out to my mom and my Aunt Barbie for making this video possible. Also, can we just take a second? Like, this shirt is actually kind of cute. I got it from PacSun. Anyways, according to BarbieMedia.com, Barbie collecting really took off in like the 1990s, but my mom, she started a little bit before then. She started her collection in the mid-70s. She really liked Barbies as a kid, and once she got older, she started like to get them just as collector's items. And according to my mom, she'd kind of just get whatever was on sale. I literally spent a whole week, actually more than that, but like going through all these Barbie dolls, going on eBay, finding what they've sold for recently, like the approximate value. But we did it pretty much. Some of them I like really couldn't find. I feel like it would be boring if I just went through and like listed all the dolls that she has. So basically what I did, I found some like useless Barbie trivia. So we're just gonna kind of be going through the dolls, learn some fun facts. I would also like to give a huge disclaimer to the YouTube gods that if you're under the age of 13, I'm sorry, but like you probably won't care about this video because this is like stuff from my childhood and before that. I usually make crafts, like this is kind of just a one-off. And also I sort of like messed up my hand, if you're kind of wondering like where I've been. Honestly, nobody was wondering. Doing great. All right, let's get into it. So let's start with Miss Barbara Millicent Roberts. I had to look that up. That's Barbie's full name. Let's start with her. So she made her debut on March 9th, 1959. Barbie was created by Ruth Handler after she noticed that her daughter Barbara would give her paper dolls more like adult roles while she was playing with them. And most of the dolls that were available at the time were baby dolls. So spotting this gap in the market, she pitched this idea to her husband. They were both co-founders of Mattel. And you know, naturally, he didn't really think it was that great of an idea, but clearly Ruth showed him. Barbie's original design was based off of a German doll called Build Lily, who was a doll that was originally marketed as like a gag gift for adults. Say what you want about Barbie, but she has lived a long and interesting life, let me tell you. She's had over 200 different careers. She's been a teacher, a cheerleader, an aerobics instructor. She was in the Air Force, she was a dentist, a ballerina, a figure skater. She was also the lead singer in multiple rock bands. And I mean, sure, she's had her critics, don't we all? But Barbie's core message has pretty much always been that girls can do anything. And you know what? It worked, because growing up, I genuinely believed that. And okay, listen, like I still do believe that to an extent, but like one of the hardest lessons that I've had to learn as an adult is like you can do anything, but you can't do everything. Unlike Barbie, Miss Girl over here has a very impressive resume, and she's evolved quite a bit over the years. The original dolls really didn't have that much articulation, but they introduced bendable legs in 1964, and the twist and turn waist in 1967. The 1970s dramatic living dolls could be posed in even more ways, with extra articulation in the knees, waist, elbows, and wrist. One of the most significant changes to Barbie's face came with the introduction of Malibu Barbie in 1971, when her eyes were adjusted to look forward instead of sideways. The oldest like in the box doll in my mom's collection is Ballerina Barbie, but I had so much fun going through the dolls that she played with as a kid. This one, apparently it's supposed to wink. It does not wink anymore, but like I feel like that would have been a cool feature. And it came with a little stamp, and the stamp actually still works. Honestly, I could do a whole video just on these. Barbie was one of the first toys to be marketed on television. I'm sure we all remember the Barbie commercials. My favorite one was for the Teen Top Model dolls. Every time I have to spell Barbie, which it was a lot preparing for this video, I think about that commercial. The most valuable Barbie in my mom's collection is Superstar Barbie, and she goes for about $600 on eBay. This doll was Mattel's first like major Barbie redesign since they introduced the twist and turn waist. My mom said that her favorite doll to play with as a kid was the Pretty Changes Barbie. She also said that she had the Magic Curl Barbie, but the hair like kind of stopped working after a while, like you could only do it so many times. In 1988, Mattel released the first holiday Barbie, which officially cemented Barbie's place as a collector's item. And her popularity inspired the company to start producing a line of Barbie dolls for like adult collectors, which my mom and my aunt both have plenty of those. Honestly, I could probably do a whole video just about the collector dolls. Ironically, the holiday Barbies, they tend to be worth like less than some of the other ones, and I'm assuming it's probably because it's kind of like Beanie Babies, you know, since they were promoted as collector's items. I'm assuming that there's probably more of them out there, which like makes them less rare. So after Barbie, the next doll to be released was Ken in 1961. His full name is Kenneth Sean Carson, and he was named after Ruth Handler's son. Of course, we all know Ken as Barbie's boyfriend. I mean, most of the time. I guess even if girls can do anything, it is nice to have company sometimes, so that's why we have Ken. I actually found it really interesting that like whenever I was going through and finding the value of these dolls, and the ones that are supposed to be like a set, Barbie is consistently worth more than Ken, as she should be. The oldest Ken in my mom's collection is Sport and Shaved Ken, who was released in 1979. The most valuable Ken doll in her collection is the black sensational Malibu Ken, and he recently sold for about $150 on eBay. And actually, that's another thing that I found interesting, you know, the non-white dolls, those ones, they actually tend to sell for more than the traditional Barbies in the same collection, which is kind of ironic because she bought most of these dolls on clearance originally. I'm not really going to comment on that too much because it's not my place, but you know what? There's a lesson in there somewhere, you know? And it's not necessarily a race thing either. Like these two dolls, one has blonde hair, one has brown hair, and the brown-haired one's actually worth a little bit more, I guess probably just because they didn't make as many. Then we have Dream Date Ken. This collection included Ken, Barbie, and PJ. They were a throuple. And in 1988, they released Animal Lovin' Ken, who was the inspiration for the Ken in Toy Story 3. My mom doesn't have that one, but my Aunt Barbie, she actually has Animal Lovin' Barbie. And you know, it's a shame that she did not get Ken, because that is one of the few instances where Ken sells for more than Barbie. Apparently Pixar, they wanted to include Barbie as Woody's girlfriend in the first Toy Story instead of Bo Peep, but Mattel, they thought that Toy Story would flop and then they didn't want it to negatively affect sales. But of course, after it was successful, they wanted in the second one. So Barbie's been featured in all the rest of the Toy Story movies. I think the only other Ken that my mom has that's worth more than the Barbie that he was sold with is Day to Night Ken, which I do not know why, because his outfit is not as fun. Like, he literally, like, men have it so easy, he just has to change his tie. I'm sorry, that's so dumb. Like, Barbie, she's putting in all this effort, and Ken, all he has to do is just change his freaking tie. Like, I'm sure that says something too. But I'm guessing that's probably why it's worth more, because it's probably more rare. Now let's talk about Skipper. So Skipper was Barbie's first family member, and she was released in 1964. So Skipper, she was originally introduced to counteract criticism that Barbie was like a sex symbol. Skipper initially had a younger appearance. According to Wikipedia, she was originally supposed to be about 9. If you're like me and you like watching the top 10 controversial toys videos, you probably have heard about Growing Up Skipper. Honestly, that one sounded kind of cool. You could twist her arm and then she'd like get taller and then she'd grow boobs. All right. My mom said that she actually had that one as a kid, but we didn't find it. But this was Mattel's attempt to show that the character was being aged up to a teenager. It's honestly kind of confusing because Wikipedia says that the character was aged up in 1979, and my mom has a Western Skipper doll from 1981 that uses the new mold, but then she also has a Sun Gold Malibu and a Great Shape Skipper from 1983, and those ones use the younger version of the doll. In 1988, Skipper got a new face mold, as you can see here, and her face was changed again in 1995. By the time she was discontinued in 2003, you could not really tell her apart from Barbie. They eventually brought her back around 2009. Apparently she has purple hair now. Skipper's had a couple friends over the years. The most notable in my mom's collection are Courtney and Kevin. Kevin was actually Skipper's second boyfriend. Her first boyfriend was Ricky in 1965. And Courtney, she was just her friend with brown hair. Isn't that like a thing? Like every blonde needs to have a brunette best friend? I feel like I've heard that somewhere. I'm the best friend because I had a Hannah Montana wig, okay? I do not look good as a blonde. Barbie's next family member to be introduced was Stacy. She was originally introduced with the name Kelly in the 1990 Wedding Day Midge set. Apparently she also has a twin brother named Todd, which I never knew that. But in 1992, she was reintroduced as Stacy. She was reintroduced as Barbie's littlest sister, which was true until they introduced Kelly. It's very confusing, but that was true until they introduced Kelly in 1995. Stacy was one of my favorites as a kid because she had like the fun accessories. Like she always came with like some kind of little extra thing. My favorite one was Polly Pocket Stacy. Stacy also had two friends. Their names were Whitney and Janet. And something that's actually kind of cool is that at least in the 1991 versions, Barbie, Skipper, and Stacy, they can all share each other's clothes. It looks like they still make the Stacy dolls now, except she's about like a head taller and a little bit thinner. Barbie's next sister is Kelly, who was introduced in 1995, and she was retired in 2010. She was created by Carol Spencer, who designed so many of the iconic Barbie dolls. Honestly, it's kind of ironic that they made Kelly because the original point of Barbie was basically to be an alternative to baby dolls. I really liked these, actually, for some reason as a kid. I feel like when I played with Barbies, Barbie didn't really take care of Kelly, but like, you know, Kelly was an independent woman. Apparently, they killed her off in 2011, and she was replaced by Chelsea. Obviously, Mattel owns the trademark to that name because they use the name Chelsea quite a bit. But the reason that they did this was because due to like trademark and licensing issues, Kelly was actually called Shelly in Europe. Mattel did release like a little statement about why they changed their name. They say it's to keep it consistent internationally, you know, aka it's cheaper for them, let's be honest. Kelly, she also had a whole bunch of friends. The main one was Tommy, who is apparently Ken's brother. Like, I did not know that they were related until now, but I literally had this doll that apparently confirms that they're related. Oh, wait, no, but one of her friends was named Chelsea, which I feel like I can somehow segue into the next line, which is Barbie's cousin Jazzy. Jazzy was produced between 1988 to 1992. I honestly don't really have that much to say about Jazzy. That was kind of before my time. My mom, she has 3 Jazzys in her collection, and apparently I also had one when I was a kid because I went through my a box of Barbies from the garage. I mean, basically Jazzy is just Barbie but with no boobs. What is she supposed to be? I think like a teenage cousin or something. I guess now we should move on to Barbie's friends. I feel like Barbie's main friend is Midge. And Midge was released in 1963 along with Skipper for the same reason. And the original Midge doll, she had a more youthful face than Barbie to kind of counteract some of the criticism that Barbie was receiving, which is kind of ironic actually, because in later versions, she's basically the one that can do all the adult things that Barbie isn't really allowed to do, like get married and have kids. She was briefly discontinued in 1967, and then she was pretty much replaced by PJ. PJ is a snake. She's stealing Midge's friend. She's stealing Barbie's boyfriend. Okay, I see you. But they eventually brought her back in 1987's California Dream line. And the California Dream dolls, they used the Steffi face mold. And Steffi was one of Barbie's friends from the 1970s. I don't know if she's just really popular or something, because on eBay when I was looking for stuff, a lot of the listings, they had Steffi in the title. So I don't know, that's a fun fact, I guess. But most of the rest of the Midges that they made, they reused the face sculpt from the Diva doll, which was from the Barbie and the Rockers line. And Midge, her boyfriend was Alan. They got married in 1991, and the dolls could be purchased individually, or you could get them in this big set, which my Aunt Barbie actually has. Now that I think about it, you know, my mom, she actually has a wedding Barbie. I'm pretty sure that Barbie never got married. I mean, I guess technically it says wedding fantasy, so that's probably how they got away with it. There have been a couple wedding dresses released for Barbie, but I swear she's not married. Barbie also had friends named Tracy and Todd that got married a couple years before, back in 1982. And I read that these dolls were the inspiration for the parents in Mattel's Heart family line, which was the predecessor to this next line involving Midge. Of course, we cannot talk about Midge without bringing up the infamous pregnant Midge dolls. So the Happy Family line faced a lot of backlash because critics said that it encouraged teen pregnancy, which, if you remember, Midge has been married for 13 years at this point. she ain't getting any younger. And another complaint that they got was that the doll didn't have a wedding ring. For Lord's sake, people, the woman just gave birth. Like, maybe her fingers are swollen. People will just complain about anything. But this is another one that I always see on like those top 10 controversial toy lists. I've seen like conflicting like stories. I always thought that they were removed from everywhere, but I think it was just Walmart. But eventually, like, they released a different version where Midge, she doesn't have the baby bump, and then like they included a cutout of Alan and Ryan to kind of, I guess, like show that she was married. And I mean, if you want to talk about unrealistic beauty standards, most people don't bounce back that fast. Technically, the first Black Barbie that they released was Christy, who was released in 1968. They did release a version of the Francie doll with darker skin back in 1967, but they used the same like head mold as the lighter skin ones, so like it may or may not count. My mom has a couple of the Christy dolls in her collection. The most valuable one is Golden Dreams Christy, who goes for about $500 on eBay. They also made a talking Julia doll in 1969, and I guess that one was based on a TV show. My Aunt Barbie actually had that one, but TLDR, she did not make it, so she got the reproduction one. Barbie pretty much has like been criticized for lack of diversity for a while. So in 1979, Mattel released Black Barbie and Hispanic Barbie. Well, actually, if you look it up, it says 1980, but I think the box says 1979. So some of the years in this video might be a little bit off. And I thought it was interesting that the significance behind these dolls is that they were just named Barbie instead of just being one of Barbie's friends. And they also started their Dolls of the World line this same year, which this one is my mom's absolute favorite. She has almost all of the Dolls of the World dolls up until about like 2005. Like, she has so many of these. And I'm pretty sure they're all just named Barbie too. Again, this is not my really place, but also like, I don't look like Barbie, so like, maybe I can kind of speak to this. Like, maybe it's just because I wasn't around during that era. But to me, calling all the dolls Barbie, that is just lazy. Like, that's just lazy. I'm sorry. Like, from a brand perspective, it's great because they don't have to trademark more names. And I mean, if it makes people happy, like, I guess that's a win-win situation. But although, honestly, I don't even know if I gave my Barbies names. The blonde ones were Barbie, but like the rest of them, maybe I gave them a name. Like, I don't know, but like, the only one that I remember had a name was this redhead one, which I named Chelsea to go with Raven. Barbie did have a couple more friends with names. There was Miko, who was produced between 1985 to 1989, and there's also Teresa, who was released in 1987 and continues to be produced to this day. I found one named Kira. Barbie has also attempted to incorporate dolls with disabilities into the line. The first one being Becky, who was released in 1997. And this one was really cool because she came with like a wheelchair. Okay, so here was the issue. I guess her wheelchair was too big to fit in the dream house. Like, it couldn't go through the door, it couldn't go through the elevator. I mean, I guess it's Barbie's private residence, so like, technically, it doesn't have to be ADA accessible, but they eventually discontinued her because they didn't want to have to like redo all the accessories. But like, also they released a new dream house like roughly every 10 years, so honestly, they could have made it work. That's all I'm saying. Took them 20 years, but I looked it up. The new dream house is ADA accessible. They made new dolls with like wheelchairs. They all come with ramps. Like, that's actually kind of cool. And they're actually coming out with like a bunch of like inclusive Barbies, which I think is really cool. Like some with removable prosthetic legs, and just all kinds of stuff. So better late than never. One of Barbie's most like common criticism is that the dolls promote like a negative body image or like unrealistic standards of beauty. But to counteract some of that criticism, Barbie released like different body types. I remember when they did this, I remember it was like a big thing. That was back in 2016. My mom got a couple of these when they came out. She also got some of like the petite and the tall ones, but like, that was not the headline. But okay, when I was doing my research for this video, I found out that they actually did make a curvy Barbie pretty much all the way back in 1999. And it was of Rosie O'Donnell. This was the doll. And the most common complaint was that Rosie O'Donnell couldn't share the clothes of the other dolls. Hopefully it's not a big deal now since they have a bunch of them. Honestly, I never understood that. I really didn't, because when I was a kid, my mindset was kind of like, well, of course I don't look like Barbie. I'm 6. Maybe when I grow up. Unfortunately, well, Honestly though, as an adult, like I do not have the time or the money for that. Like I'm sorry. Like I guess technically there are people that have done it. And so I guess technically I could, but that is too much effort. Like no thank you. I like my face. Honestly, it's fine. Also, as we discussed, I look very bad as a blonde. Barbie, she's actually generally been pretty progressive over the years. I mean, even if there were a few missteps along the way. Like if Barbie was a YouTuber, she would have been canceled like a million times. Toxic gossip train. I'm sorry, that song has been stuck in my head. Come to think of it, I think Barbie actually is a YouTuber. But yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good place to stop. I did not get through all of the Barbies. Not even close. So like if you want a part 2, maybe I could do a part 2. I'm so excited. My mom doesn't know this. I got her like a Barbie shirt and I'm gonna get her the Margot Robbie Barbie doll, and like I wanna go take her and see the movie. Anyways, that was everything for this video. Thank you so much if you stayed till the end. I really had fun with this. I really did. I know, like I said, I usually do craft projects, but I messed up my hand and I've been trying to think of like something else to post because like the crafts are just really, like I can still do stuff, but it's just like really painful. So like, I don't know. But if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos just like this one. My merch, my website, and all my social media will be linked down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys later. Bye.